Hello everyone, hope I'm audible and visible to all of you. Good morning, Jeevayana. And if you can hear me, if you can see me, you can post it in the live section or the chat section. And if you can hear me, if I can hear me so well. Oh my God, let's start the discussion. So today we'll do Hindu analysis of 16th September 2025. My name is Shubham Sagar. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. And yesterday, as we always do, there were two questions which I gave you. Good morning, Gajanan. So two questions were homework. This was the first question. Zappa, the military, joint military exercise are conducted between which two countries? What is the answer, Jivan and you know Gajanan and other people? So Japad joint military exercise. We have talked about hypersonic cruise missile yesterday, Zircon. It was hypersonic, right? It was cruise, Zircon. Why we have read about it? Because UPSC has already asked questions on missiles like THAAD. So good morning, Shripurna. So as Jivan and Gajanan, they have given the answer. The answer is B, Russia and Belarus. Very good. You people are so good, just like a wow. Then MCQ 13 of the day. In the context of pollinators, this was one of the most important and trickiest article of yesterday, related to mosquito, related to so many things. It was a tricky article. It was an awesome article. UPSC PYQ has already been asked on that article or the content which was there. So what is the answer of this one? Very good, Jivayan, Gajanan and Shripurna. So in the context of pollinators, which of the following statement is or are correct? Pollination is the transfer of pollen grains. You can see this. And what is the answer here? And Chepandi is fast. Chepu tilsu ledu kadu. Correct, pollination is the transfer of pollen. Oh my God, my hair is like going here, there, everywhere. So we have discussed mosquitoes yesterday. We have talked about two benefits of mosquito. First is they can act as pollinators. Second is they are fish food. So that's why we should not kill them all. So second statement is wrong. Mosquitoes can also act as pollinator. If you eliminate second, you're getting the answer. The answer is C, 1 and 3 only, as stated by Jivayan, Shripurna, Gajanan. Very good. You people are, why are you so like good people? Oh my God. So again, let's focus. So MCQ 12B, MCQ 13C. And now we have to come back to the present. So first article, page number 1. Supreme Court state arbitrary Waqf changes but upholds Act. So this is a news which is recurring in nature. Any news which is recurring becomes very important. Like what are the different recurring news which we have encountered in last 3-4 months? So this is a recurring news. Then the governor's accent and presidential reference, whether 3 months governor can and Supreme Court can fix a timeline of 3 months when he's sitting on a bill and all. So these are some. Then the language issue. So hope you can understand the topics which are recurring in nature. If you're making mistakes in those topics, as they say, nadi kinare saap hai, padha hua galat karna paap hai. That means alongside a river bank there is a snake, and if you're making mistake in the things which are recurring in a regular manner, then it's a sin. Oh my God. Similarly, work for property. What is a work for property? It's a movable or immovable property. Oh my God, my doctor like handwriting. Good morning, Rajneesh. So movable or immovable property. What is movable or immovable property? So let's say I am a Muslim, and movable property means what? My money. That's a movable property. Immovable is what? Land, my house. So sometimes what happens, and there are different attributes. If you are, if you are a Muslim, there are certain things you have to donate and all. So what you will do, you will donate a land or a movable or an immovable property. This is, you have given it to Allah. Now your family members cannot take that particular property, whether it is movable or immovable. That is work for property. So there were debates related to this work for property. Hope you understood the basic concept associated with work for property. And like earlier there were debates, and so like government was saying that there are many work for properties on government lands. This is so wrong, you know and then government was like, we should introduce some non-Muslim population also in the work for panel, because there are many lands which are government lands, but they are already assigned work for. So government, they brought an act, work amendment act 2025. Now what Supreme Court has done, and this particular article is all over like the Hindu. There are multiple articles, multiple things which has been written over this particular news. So Supreme Court is saying that there is a principle of constitutionality. There has been multiple petitions which have been filed against this Waqf Amendment Act. Like let me tell you the other rationale why people are, let's say we have a temple, and let's say I will appoint some Muslim member who will govern temple. Obviously, my religious sentiments will be hurt. Think of Waqf as that particular thing. If let's say for managing Waqf, you are also including non-Muslim population, obviously Muslim people can feel offended. Please understand this, be neutral. It's not always about right and wrong. We have to, go into other people's shoe, and we have to understand why people are angry on the other side. So by taking an example of, we are not saying temple and Waqf properties are exactly same, but I'm just giving you a synonymous rationale so that you can understand why there is so much anger. So now there has been multiple petitions filed against this particular Waqf Amendment Act. Be with me, you will understand everything. Now court is saying that there's a principle of constitutionality. If government has brought an act, so obviously they have followed the norms of constitution, so principle of constitutionality is there, but it doesn't mean that Supreme Court cannot change the arbitrary provisions. So, oh my God, Rajneesh is so much interested in Shupurna. Oh my God, let's not go there. So, principle of constitutionality is there. Yes, they have made an act and they are following principle of constitutionality, but that doesn't mean that Supreme Court cannot make changes. And they have made, or they have found some provisions which are arbitrary, and they have changed it, or they have, amended it to a certain extent. Like, if if you want your land to be a work for land, then you have to be a, like, you have to practice Islam for at least 5 years. Now let's say I am Shubham Sagar, there is Rishi, there is Rajneesh, there is Gajan, and there are other people. How will I prove, how will other people prove that I'm practicing Islam, or I'm practicing Hinduism for 5 years or 10 years or 15 years or what years? So again, Supreme Court said that this requirement wasn't objectionable. And what is the procedure? How will you check it whether he's practicing Islam for 5 years, then only he can create a work? How will you prove that whether he's practicing Islam for 5 years or 10 years or 2 years? So again, you don't have proper mechanism to verify the compliance of this particular provision. It doesn't make any sense. So section 3C, loss of Waqf status on doubt of government ownership. This is one of the biggest argument why government has brought Waqf Amendment Act. They are saying that there are many Waqf property on government lands, and there is a section 3C in which it is said that, you know a Waqf property will not remain a Waqf property if anyone, see the point here, anyone raised a doubt that it was a government property. Here anyone refers to executive. Now Supreme Court is saying that no, if any executive, DM, CM, anyone, if he's raising a, query that it is a government property, by like just raising it, Waqf will not lose its property. It will go to judiciary. It is unconstitutional. Just because, Shipurna becomes a DM, or, Rishi becomes a DM, or Rajneesh becomes a DM, and let's say they are a little bit religiously biased or something. Again, hypothetical scenario, you cannot say that it is not a Waqf property. It will go to judiciary. Only judiciary can determine property title. Only an executive will say it. That will not do. Hope you understand, you people understand the basic difference between legislature, executive, and judiciary. Legislature makes laws, parliament, state legislature, executive implement laws. Here in executive, you have two types of executive: political executive, permanent executive. You people will be permanent executive, DM, CM. And who are political executive? People like, PM, CM. They are political executive. So they are implementing laws. And then the judiciary, they're checking the constitutionality of laws and executive orders. So here, separation of power concept, which is explicitly mentioned in your GS mains paper 2. Separation of power. Given by Montesquieu, in India, we don't have a strict separation of power like US. We have fused SOP. Executive is a part of legislature and this and that. So do make a note on that fused SOP concept. So here, judiciary is saying that only executive dictate will not do, because judiciary will check whether this property is a government property or not. Only then, if it is a government property, Waqf will be lost. Okay, sir. Stay on arbitrary power to alter records. We'll go there, but first of all, I have just told you what is the basic meaning of Waqf. Let's see that, and then we'll go on and dig deep into this article. So we have just discussed, and do pay attention to the keywords here. Movable or immovable property. I have just told you what is the basic difference between movable or immovable property. Cash and residence and all. And once I let's say my name is Shubh Khan. I have made my property as Waqf. My son or daughter will not take it. So the property becomes inalienable because it belongs to Allah now. It does not belong to my descendant. Then there is somebody who will be managing this property. There will be a manager, which you have to keep in mind. And what is the name of that manager? They are mutawalis. So mutawalis are the managers. You don't have to do PhD here. You just have to understand some key terms which are involved in this article. Tikashe, let's come back to what we were discussing. So Supreme Court stay on arbitrary power to alter records. So there are mutawalis, there are managers, and then there are executive officials, there are state governments. They cannot change Waqf board records unilaterally. So in a way, you can understand why this particular judgment, judiciary is giving itself a little bit more power when it comes to decision on work for property via amending this particular Work Amendment Act of 2025. Composition. Now this is one again one contentious point. Just like we don't have Muslim population in our temple boards, etc., why do we have non-Muslim population in Waqf? Then there are other people who will argue, permanent executive, gee, why? Oh my god. Then there are other people who will argue that Waqf is too much in numbers, and there are more debates on Waqf being government property than temples. So you can always argue to means agree to disagree, and you can always argue on that point. But hope you can understand why this particular point is creating issues for our Muslim brothers. Central Waqf Council, not more than 4 non-Muslims out of 22, and this is what Supreme Court is saying. And state, 3 non-Muslims out of 11. And this is again a contentious issue. So Supreme Court is drawing the line here. How many non-Muslims can be a part of it? Cool, sir. And CEO should be Muslims as far as possible. So again, religion is a very sensitive issue. Whenever we are dealing with it, we should be very, very, I don't know how to put it, but hope you are understanding where we are going there, or where we are going with this. So petitioners argue that work property would lose status. Now, this is an important point. Keep it in mind. There are certain points which are important, which you will not understand, which has to be delineated for you. So what is the meaning of this particular argument? Let's say government said that where the work property is currently, there was a monument earlier, there was a historical monument earlier, then it will not remain a work property, even if government or somebody said, executive said that it was a protected monument. Supreme Court is saying that no, this will not happen. Again, we will check the constitutionality, we will check the whole this whole rationale, whether there was actually a protected monument, historical site earlier or not. So it's not like on its own executive said and this will happen. So again, separation of power, judiciary asserting itself, you're seeing via this particular judgment of Supreme Court. Very good. Now let's solve some question so that you can remember whatever we have read. Hope you understood the basic concept of waqf. It can, once it is a waqf land, it cannot be given to your son or daughter. MCQ 1. Just give me a second. What is the answer of this particular question? So Jeevayana has given the answer. Work for property. The protected monuments argument in the work for case refers to which of the following? That work for properties automatically lose status if declared as protected monuments. That protected monuments must always be considered work for properties. That protected monuments are exempt from work for registration. That only work for tribunals can declare a monument protected. So what we have discussed when we are talking about this work for issue, what are the things which we have discussed? What was the argument given about this protected monument case? The petitioner was saying that the work of property are automatically losing status if you're declaring it as a protected monument, that there was a protected monument earlier, blah, blah, blah. This is the point which we have just discussed. If you go back and if you see this protected monument argument, and that's what Supreme Court is saying, that this will not happen, don't worry about it. Petitioners argued that work for property would lose status if notified as protected monument rather. And this is the point which this particular question is talking about. It is not about that protected monuments must always be considered work properties. This is again a extreme statement. Must only, whenever the statements contain only and must, your ear should shoot up. You should think about it whether it's correct or not. There's a very high probability these statements are wrong. That protected monuments are exempt from work for registration. What we have just discussed, if a particular place is declared as protected monument, if it was work for earlier, it will not be work for now. Supreme Court is saying that don't worry about it, and we'll look into that particular case on a case to case basis. So the answer is A. And C, all of you have given different answer. Hope you're understanding. Doesn't matter what you gave answer. What was the argument all about? Are you understanding why A is the answer? GY and Shipurna, Rishi and Rajneesh? A is the answer. Waqf property automatically lose status if declared as protected monument. Cheppandi is fast. Chepu telsu ledu kadu. That means tell me, are you understanding what we have just discussed? Why? A is the answer, and that part is important. I'm getting question correct or wrong. That thing is fine, but in the longer run, you should not be getting it wrong. Very good, Jiva. And understood. Shipurna understood. Now let's solve MCQ 2 of the day. Rishi is such a good boy. Where were you, Rishi? Yesterday, Shipurna and Jivayan were like, where is Rishi? Where is Rishi? We want Rishi. So, with reference to the concept of Waqf in India, consider the following statement. A Waqf is a permanent dedication. Again, use option elimination. If you're using option elimination, cool. You'll be able to solve this question. Work for permanent dedication of movable or immovable property for religious or charitable purposes. Once created, work for property can be inherited by descendants. Gajanan has given the answer. So we have just discussed, if a property is declared a work for property, it belongs to Allah. It does not belong to any of the descendant of the creator. So second is wrong. If second is wrong, you can eliminate B and C. You're left with A and D option. Person managing a work is known as Mutawali. That is also correct. So the answer is D, as stated first by Gajanan, then Shipurna, then Jivayan, then Rishi, then Rajneesh. You people are so good. Just like a wow. Next article of the day. Oh my God, this is very technical. This is very technical, very important. I cannot tell you how important it is. So this is about government procurement. Procurement means what? Government, there are different companies, there are PSUs, public sector undertakings, they buy equipments. There is a place, there is a portal rather, GEM portal. Government e-marketplace portal. And what is this GEM portal all about? It was launched in 2016. So if there are PSUs, public sector undertakings, there are different government entities, if they have to buy something, they have to buy something via this portal only. There'll be different vendors, etc., and they'll be buying on this portal only. There are certain restrictions. They cannot, if 1 lakh, or if they have to buy from somewhere outside, they cannot buy item beyond this particular amount. So this article is about this procurement reform thing. How much reform we need in this procurement? Because sometimes author is saying, Goswami sir is saying that the people, the vendors who are there on this portal, they're not very, they're cost efficient, but then they are compromising on the quality. So there is a tug of war which is going. There are so many good words here. We have to understand this article. If you understood this article, your today's Hindu analysis is, should be happy about it. So let's focus. So problem with traditional procurement. So how traditional procurement is going on, and please understand this GEM portal, government marketplace portal. It's not like I, Rajneesh, Rishi, Jivayan, Shipumna, Gajanan, and others, they can go and they can buy. No, we people cannot buy. Government entities can buy. you know so there is a restriction on government entities, even R&D, research and development enterprises. So that's what the author is saying. There's focuses on transparency and cost efficiency, but when you're focusing too much on cost efficiency, innovation can suffer. you know you have to give some amount of freedom to these research institutions, that they can even buy certain stuff from outside, and that's what the amendment and the reforms are doing. They are focusing on giving more autonomy to research institution, that they can procure from outside also. Then there will be another issue. The other issue is, if we are over emphasizing on global tenders, then it will sideline our domestic suppliers. So as you can understand, in economy, in all these stuff, you can never make anyone happy. So what are the reforms which has happened in June? Exemption from GEM for specialized research equipment, because we know, there are some countries which are pioneer in different research, right? So if you're buying equipment from that particular country, it will be good for our research. So there has to be some exemptions in government marketplace. That is happening here. But again, there is a downside which we have seen. What will happen to our domestic suppliers? Direct purchase limit raised from 1 lakh to 2 lakh. So earlier, if you're buying from outside the GEM, you can buy till 1 lakh. Now it has been raised to 2 lakh. There is another question. There was another UPSC PYQ which was asked. Solar content requirement issue, I think. Domestic solar content requirement issue. Domestic solar content requirement issue. Hope you have heard about it. And this is your homework. Solve that UPSC PYQ. I will just give you the whole argument which was there. So there was an argument between India and US. India versus US. So India is a big market for solar energy, right? So US companies, they want to come and they wanted to invest in India. So India was like, okay, come and invest in our country in solar energy, but whatever solar panels, solar cells you're buying, you have to buy from our Indian indigenous companies. And these US companies, they were like, dude, no, we will bring our own equipments. And that became a domestic content requirement, a solar, like domestic content requirement issue, I think DCR issue. And then USA went to WTO or what, and then WTO was like no, India, you are doing too much. USA will bring their own equipments that is of much superior quality. India lost the case. So you can understand this whole scenario. Like, have you heard about this domestic content requirement issue? Anyone? Cheppandi, Cheppu telusu ledu kaadu? Or this is the first time you're hearing about it? So via that particular domestic content requirement issue, you can understand the whole procurement scenario. So vice chancellors, directors empowered to approve global tenders up to 200 crore. So now we want to, focus on global tenders, but then our domestic suppliers will be undermined, aimed at reducing. And there is another point also. When, like, there are scenarios, let's say we have just seen direct purchase limits range from 1 lakh to 2 lakh. Let's say I want to buy a 3 lakh foreign equipment. What will happen then? I have to take permission from certain entities. That will lead to bureaucratic delays, and that's why this whole purchase limit has been raised. But whether it will undermine domestic supplier or not, that's a different matter altogether. Now, what is the limitation? The limitation is 2 lakh direct purchase cap is still very less. This is 21st century, bro. Inflation is a thing. So the cost of things are rising. We are dealing with quantum computing, AI, etc., etc. So 2 lakh is still not a big amount, and that's what the author is saying. This is one limitation. Second limitation is undermining domestic suppliers, and success depends on ethical stand, blah blah blah. You can read these things. Hope you understood the other part. If you are focusing too much on global tenders, our domestic suppliers will be undermined. Whatever bar you are raising, that is still too low. The prices are still very high. We will talk about it. Catalytic procurement. Where is catalytic procurement, Jivayana? Where have you seen that words? Aimed at reducing and enabling catalytic procurement. Catalysis, like, what is a catalyst? Catalyst means, who is acting as a facilitator. And that is what they are saying. When you are empowering these guys, you are removing that particular facilitator, particular intermediary, which in this case is bureaucracy. So that is catalytic procurement. That means in a way you're removing the intermediaries, you're removing the bureaucratic delays. There will be too many keywords here, too many technical words here. Don't focus on that. I will tell you the things which are very important, but hope you understood what is catalytic procurement. Now, what India can learn from other countries, Germany, you can see here, they all are reserving certain funds. Now, there is a concept here, sandbox concept. Author is saying that there are certain companies, not every company do research, right? Even when I was in software technology, there is product companies, and then there are services companies, TCS, etc. They are services companies. And product company, I was in Samsung, it was a product company. Mostly the research happened in these product companies, right? With due respect to TCS, Infosys, we're not saying research does not happen there, but happens on a lesser scale. So author is saying that for these, and there's a concept of sandbox. Sandbox means you are doing some research in a relaxed environment. It's not like there are certain government protections. So when it comes to procurement, again, let's not go there. Just sandbox, remember, there are so many technical words. We will not go there. But the author is saying that we can relax procurement issues when it comes to sandbox sector, and when we are doing some research and innovation. Even forget about it. Forget I said that. So now let's focus here. Historical evolution. This procurement thing, it's not like it is happening right now. From ancient time, it has happened. Ancient Egypt, they have record keeping for construction. Industrial revolution, they've had, when they were buying certain stuff, they were focusing on the cost part. In world wars, when they were buying certain missiles, some certain tools, at that time, strategy was the part. Whether France has it, if France has it, Germany has to have it. So this is strategic resource tool. Post 1945, we are focusing on semiconductor, renewable energy, because of the global warming thing. So procurement has always happened, historically it has happened. And now we are focusing on cognitive procurement. Like Jivine was asking about catalytic procurement. Now this part is important. What is cognitive procurement? During the time of COVID, there were different companies like Pfizer and all. They were focusing on, like, let's forget about COVID, let's think about it. These days what happens? Let's say I want certain stuff, I write on chat GPT, etc. So cognitive procurement is about that. Let's say there is a company, they want certain raw materials, they will ask from AI, from where I can get it, what will be the cheapest alternative and best alternative. So this is cognitive procurement, when you're using AI for supply chain prediction. People, are you understanding what is cognitive procurement? Chapandis fast. This is important. These are the keywords which we have to focus on. These are the keywords which are very important. Did you understand what is cognitive procurement? Use of AI whenever you're doing procurement. Now, debates on privatization. Many people are like, dude, because of these government restrictions, this and that, these problems are there. Let's do the privatization part. And many people feel privatization always feels like a panacea. The solution of everything is privatization. But then there are some people who don't like privatization, who likes government jobs. Cool. So here they have talked about US, etc., where they have done private management, CSIR, and there is a talk also, like, the management part, it should be private in nature, and government should have a oversight nature, that if some issues arises, government is there, but all in all, management should be private in nature. That's what the author is saying. If a hybrid model is there, there will be more flexibility, there will be more autonomy with these people, these entities. And then the recommended systemic shift, evaluate bids on cost. Just don't focus on cost, focus on innovation as well, focus on research potential as well. Sandbox exemption, there are certain sector where more research is going on, so there, reduce the regulatory oversight, allow them to do as many innovation as they can, bypassing the whatever regulations you have, GFR. These are financial rules and regulations which are given by finance ministry, how much you can implement, how much money you can invest in procurement, etc., etc. So they are saying that there are certain sectors which do a lot of research and innovation, which anyway are very few in number in India. For them, bypass this GFR. I will just show you what is GFR, and then we'll come back. So GFR is general financial rules set up by Ministry of Finance on how much expenditure has to happen, procurement has to happen, and they apply to government departments, PSUs, and autonomous bodies. So this is GFR. They can ask you and they can say that GFR is issued by Ministry of Finance. What is GEM? We have just discussed, Government Marketplace 2016. Who can buy things from here? Government ministries, departments, and PSUs, not citizens. Please remember these things. They are very important, and these are the things which we have to. Cognitive procurement is the application of AI. Oh my god, Rishi is so cute, just like a wow. Let's focus here. So what is the core argument? AI augmented sourcing. We have just discussed cognitive procurement. This is the future, cognitive procurement, and we can also use it. Cool. So core argument, privatization is not the solution. Hybrid model, we can go for it. And GM reforms are awesome, where we are opening up for global tenders. But again, we have to think about our domestic suppliers. We have to think about how much we are opening, 2 lakh limit, whether it is enough or not. So we can adopt from global best practices. Have a look at this. Hope you understood some part of it. Let's solve some question so that you can remember all the other stuff as well. Let's solve this question. So with reference to government e-marketplace, consider the following statement. It was launched in 2016 as an online procurement. Always use option elimination. It will help you. Read all the statements before arriving at an answer. The statement which you feel like is totally wrong, eliminate it. It was launched in 2016 as an online procurement platform for government ministries. It allows direct procurement by citizens from government stores. So, Sheetal. Gajanan, Shipurna, Rishi, Jivayan, all of you have answered it. So we know in GEM we cannot buy it. It does not allow direct procurement by citizens. Government entities, PSUs, they can buy it, right? So the answer is you can eliminate B option. So when you're eliminating A and D, so A is the answer. A is correct. So the answer is A, as stated by first by Gajanan, then Shipurna, then Rishi, then Jivayan, then Rishi again, and then Rajneesh. Very good. What is cognitive procurement? What do you understand by cognitive procurement? It was a tricky article. You have to go through it again. You will understand each and everything, whatever we have discussed. Very important from mains perspective. Will give you all the things needed for, the way forward when it comes to procurement sector, how we have to procure, where there should be a line drawn for GEM sector, rather GEM, government marketplace. So cognitive procurement, as Jivayan, Shipurna, Rishi, Rajni, they have answered it. Use of AI, machine learning, predictive analytics in procurement to enhance efficiency. Very good. You people are so good. Now, arrange the following in correct historical order of procurement evolution. We have seen this procurement thing is going on from time immemorial. So arrange them. Sheetal has also tried it. Very good, Sheetal. AI-driven cognitive procurement, procurement as cost-centric during industrial revolution, strategic procurement during world wars, ancient Egyptian record keeping. Again, a tricky question, a new kind of a question, right? That will that will also help you revise the ancient history. Japanese fast. So again, just organize it. The thing which you feel it has happened at the latest. Okay, so many people have given the answer. Shipurna, Gajanan, Rajneesh, Jivayan, Rishi, all of you have tried it. So AI driven, this is the latest thing, right? So we know one has to be at the end, but again, it's not helping. One is at the end in all of the options. What has happened the earliest? Ancient Egyptian record keeping. Obviously, this is very old, right? So it has to happen at the earliest, at the first. So eliminate B and D, then you're left with A and C. After four, what? Industrial Revolution, World War, which happened first? We know Industrial Revolution happened first, right? So 4, 2, 3, 1. A is the answer, as stated by. Oh my God! So many people answered it wrong. Why are people answered C? So World War is 1914 and 1939, right? Industrial Revolution 1760, bro. So how come third happened first? See, this is herd mentality. Hope you are understanding what is herd mentality here. Only one person answered it differently, and all the other people, bros, this is wrong. Revise when Industrial Revolution happened. 1760 in England. Why it happened in England only? I made a video on it also. People, are you understanding? And again, this should not happen. If one person is answering it wrong, all the other are doing the same. Don't do that. Do when you're answering, answer it on your own. Don't look at other people's answer. And if I'm harsh right now, it will help you in future. You will thank me later for it. So like, share, and subscribe if you like this video. You can buy these into analysis PDF at 199 per month from me. And as I've told you people earlier, or yesterday rather, you can also collect your doubts and we can schedule a doubt session. You can also be a part of my mentorship program from like yesterday onwards. In fact, from today onwards, means history through NCRT. So the people who are part of my mentorship program, they will be getting this history through NCRT's videos and PDFs by this weekend rather. So this is class 6 to class 12. So what happens? Like, this is not like class 6 one video. No, class 6 chapter 1 video. I will underline the important portion in that class 6 chapter 1. So the underlined chapter and the video will be gone to you, will be sent to you rather. And this will happen from class 6 chapter 1 to class 12 last chapter. Video and PDF, and then if you have any doubt, we'll have doubt session. So this is also included in mentorship program. And again, 4999 one-time payment. And if you want to just buy this particular course, history through NCRT, rupees 9,999. And I've told you yesterday also, the price will increase of mentorship in future. When I started initially mentorship, it was 999, then it became 1999, then it became 2999. Oh my, 2999. Now it is 4999. So, and mentorship program is not a single program; it's an umbrella program. Multiple initiatives will be included in it. So, enroll at the earliest before it increases, the price increases. Then don't tell me that, sir, please don't, what have you done? And after a certain period, things will become free in this mentorship program, because Hindu analysis PDF, doubt session, everything is here, and I am all yours in that mentorship program. You can also switch from other initiative to mentorship program by paying the remaining amount. You can also donate. Let's move on to the third article of the day. When you start history through NCRT. So this is a paid initiative, Jivayan, history through NCRT. So what I'm doing is I'm making videos, and I'm sending the videos and the PDFs to the students who are part of my mentorship program or who are taking this course separately. So that has started from yesterday. It will not be there on YouTube. It is a paid program. So page number 10, all these paid programs will help me continue this, Hindu initiative. So let's focus on the third article, page number 10. What is involution that is plaguing Chinese EV sector? And again, an important article from every perspective. What is involution? Involution is inward looking. When you start looking inside, so when it comes to Chinese electric vehicle sector, inward looking means they're looking inside their own country. Why this is happening? Again, you must have guessed it, tariff thing. US has imposed tariff on different involution, or this is the first time you're hearing about it? Japanese fast. So what we are discussing in involution, inward looking. So here there is a cutthroat competition which is going on, because the export market has been impacted of these EV sector, right? So they are focusing in their domestic sector. Now they are cutting the prices. They are cutting the prices so much that the price has gone below their production cost because they have to sell it. And China, they are not liking it. The Chinese government, they are not liking this whole thing. So this is what this article is all about. And there will be different terms like CVD, countervailing duty. And then when we're reading CVD, we'll also read ADD, anti-dumping duty. You have to understand the basic meaning of these particular terms. What do these terms mean? You know, countervailing duty and anti-dumping duty. Okay, so let's focus. Concept of involution, Ni Juan in China. What is counterproductive competition? And here, this is price war. You are decreasing your price because, you know, if the competitor's price is at, let's say, 10 rupees, then I will make it at 8 rupees, even though my production cost was 12 rupees. So this is involution, leads to financial losses and unsustainable market condition. And that's why China is worried. In middle had buffering problem. Am I fine now? Everything fine? Am I audible and visible, Chapandis? Guys, let me take a breather also. So again, the situation has escalated so much in this, you know, IV sector, EV sector rather, that China's Xi Jinping, whom somebody called 11 Jinping, he is now involved. Generally, he will not say stuff, right? This has become a big matter there, this involution thing. Hope you understood the basic meaning of involution. So derived from Latin involution, meaning to turn inwards. Remember this word. And again, you don't have to do PhD where it was used, what it was used. We have to understand the keywords. Why this involution is happening? Can it happen in India also? You know, because this tariffs thing, we are also suffering from it. So that's why we have to have a close look on China. So involution. See, you can see US, EU, everywhere. Tariff has been imposed on China and Chinese sector, including EV sector. And to protect Europe struggling, again, you can see this. So what is China doing now? So again, they're focusing more on their domestic market, and that's why the price war has intensified. That's what led to this whole involution. Industry leaders themselves describe this. Again, you can read all these things. I'm not reading it. China's these, you know, manufacturers, they are trying to localize production abroad. This is a very interesting thing. So what has happened? Donald Trump, he is imposing tariff on Chinese, you know, manufacturers, etc., etc. So what Chinese manufacturers are doing, they will set up a production abroad. Then it will not be of China, it will be of Hungary. That particular production will be of Hungary, of Turkey, and thereby avoiding these tariffs. So this is also one thing which they want to do, and they are trying to do. Let's see how successful they are. So again, now government measures. Government is also talking about certain stuff. You know, now here there is one thing which we have to pay attention to, and I will show you that particular thing. See, countervailing duties. EU has imposed countervailing duties on Chinese electric vehicles. Now, what is the CVD? How it is different from ADD? If you people know it, you can post it in the comment section. What is the basic difference between, you know, countervailing duty and anti-dumping duty? So countervailing duty means what? Let's say China has given too many subsidies to their manufacturers. So in that scenario, their good has become cheaper. To counter that subsidies which China has given to their electric vehicles manufacturer, EU has imposed these duties. This is countervailing duty. Anti-dumping duty is what? Let's say China is dumping their products in India at a cheaper price than at what they are selling in their home country. Then we will impose duty on them. That is anti-dumping duty. So sometimes, see, they are very similar, CVD and ADD. Only the reason is different, the rationale is different, and you have to understand what is the basic rationale behind CVD and ADD, and that is the thing which is very important. Cool. So let's focus. Let's solve this MCQ 6. What is involution? Purna has given the answer. Involution, expansion through outward growth, rapid industrialization without regulation, social progress through technological innovation to turn inwards. Shipurna, Rajneesh, Gajanan, and Jivayan. They have given the answer. The answer is D, to turn inwards. Very good. People are so good. Now, involution, that was the basic meaning. What is the meaning in the current context? Shipurna, Rajneesh, Gajanan, Jeevayan, and Rishi. Very good, Sheetal. Rapid technological breakthroughs driven by state subsidies, excessive price competition leading to below cost selling and farm losses, strict environmental regulations limiting production capacity, dependence on imported raw materials for battery production. Purna has given the answer. So, what is involution in current terms? Excessive price competition leading to below cost selling and farm losses, as stated by Shipurna, Gajanan, Rishi, Jivayan, Rajneesh, and Sheetal. Sheetal also tried it. Sheetal B is the answer. Page number 1. Amid an export surge, trade deficit comes down by 54%. So even though all these tariff thing is going on, the silver lining is, still the trade is going on. This is a very, very interesting article on page number 1. This is saying that, US has imposed so many tariffs on us. Still that has not, reduced the merchandise export. We'll talk about this thing. Before that, whenever we talk about this particular article, I keep on telling you about BOP. And the number of UPSC PYQs asked on BOP is huge, balance of payment, current account, then you have capital account. And do remember this, they are important. In current account, you have, BOT, and then you have services and SIT. So BOT is balance of trade. Here you have merchandise, goods and services. Export and import of goods and services, that is balance of trade. And here you have services, income and transfer. Services is IT sector, etc. Income is whatever, let's say, there's a PSU which is in Canada. They are earning some money there. So that is income. Transfer is remittances, etc., which are people in Western Asia, they're sending. So these are SITs. All these things are under current account. Then you have capital account, FDI, FPI, foreign portfolio investment. You have ECB, external commercial borrowings, and then you have some other things. So this is basically borrowing, capital account. So this export surge, this is good for our current account balance, because this is a part of here when we are talking about export surge. You will see merchandise export, you will see BOT is impacted in a better manner, which we have to understand. A fascinating article, and the points I will talk about this article, the things I was just telling you, this is the part which you have to keep in mind, and this is your homework for today. Solve almost all UPSC PYQs which has been asked on BOP, and that is a lot. So this is a big homework for you. Current account, capital account. And in India, what happens in India? We have current account deficit here. Generally, India, they have current account deficit here, and we have capital account surplus, because our current account deficit is there, because our import is more than our export. We have to borrow, and that's why we have capital account surplus. Exactly opposite happens in China. China has, this is about India, China has capital account deficit and they have current account surplus. Here they have surplus, so they have to borrow less. Hope you are understanding these things. These are important things which we need to know, from exam perspective. So merchandise, export and import of goods, this is known as BOT, balance of trade. This is also known as visible component, because goods you can see them, they are tangible items. Invisible is services, income and transfer. Services, banking, telecom, IT sector. And income is, I have just told you, PSU in a different country, they are earning some money. And transfer, this is the money which you don't need to pay back, gift, grant and remittances, and then these loans. Cool. Now let's focus on the article, then we'll solve multiple questions on this particular issue. So what is this article all about? Again, a good silver lining, and that is in a way reiterating the point that only tariff will not do. If there is a demand for certain product of India in US, and if that demand persists, tariff is not going to stop it from export, right? So trade deficit contraction, India's trade deficit shrank. So if India's trade deficit is shrinking, that means export is in general becoming more than import. So why this whole India's trade deficit is shrinking? Because our merchandise export has increased. What is merchandise import? It means export rather. Again, if you go back and if you see the BOP thing, this is the part which we are talking about, merchandise, export and import of goods. So our export has increased, which is the biggest, trading partner when it comes to positive balance of trade for India, that is US. In general, China is the biggest trading partner, but from China we import a lot. US matters a lot to us because in US we export, and when we export we have a positive balance of trade. In that regard, US matters a lot to us. So surge in merchandise export, continued strong performance in services sector. Services sector, IT sector, have always been a pioneer, so that has never been the issue. The issue is this merchandise export. In US we are exporting, but all in all, in general, we are importing. We are importing a lot from China. Export to US rose to $6.86 billion in August. Even though there had been so much tariff, still export is going on. Very, very good sign for Indian economy. Hope you're understanding. Maybe you people are not realizing the impact of it. This is a good sign for us. Government view, and again, obviously government is happy and they're talking about how this thing has happened, and they are crediting themselves that government policies is responsible for it. Again, point taken, but we have to understand the silver lining. Total export increased, merchandise export increased, services export, they also increased. They are always in the positive thing. Imports declined, and when export increase, import decline, then only you have positive balance of trade, and that is what is happening here. Cool, have a look at this basic premise. Hope you understood what are the key terms which we have to keep in mind. The numbers don't matter from UPSC perspective. You have to understand we are not much impacted yet by US tariffs. This is the point which you have to take out. Now let's solve some questions based on the conceptual understanding of BOP concept. The more questions you solve, the more you'll be able to understand these things. How does a reduction in India's trade deficit impact BOP? So if trade deficit reduces, our export becomes more than our import, then what will happen to BOP? And you have to choose the best possible option. Best option. Jivana has given the answer. Very good, Rishi. So again, see, we know weakens the financial account, no effect on BOP. This is wrong. The question is between A and B. Improves the current account balance, reduces capital account inflows. What is the best possible option out of A and B? If your trade deficit is reducing, where is trade deficit lying? This is the part which is dealing with trade deficit. Current account part, merchandise part, they are dealing with trade deficit, and the services part. But basically the merchandise part. So if the trade deficit reduces, that will lead to positive current account balance. That will lead to improved current account balance. That will happen. This is the most likely scenario. That in turn may lead to reduced capital account inflows, but the best possible option here is A, improves the current account balance. B is not the answer, Jivan. A is the answer. You can get stuck here, but if there is a reduction in India's trade deficit, which is the thing which is immediately impacted. Trade deficit is a part of current account balance. If there is a reduction in trade deficit, there's an improvement in current account balance. That may or may not lead to reduction in capital account inflows, because there are other aspects also. Trade deficit is not the only part of BOP. There is services, there is income, there is transfer. If they are not performing well, then maybe the capital account inflow will increase, because trade deficit. But yes, one thing which is for sure, if the trade deficit reduces, it will improve our current account balance. Bros, are you understanding why A is the answer and why B is not the answer? This is a tricky question. Hope you are understanding. And for doing this question, for understanding this question in better manner, you have to look at this particular figure. You have to look at it like you look at the image of your girlfriend. Just admire the beauty of this BOP thing and try to understand what I am telling you. Export and import, all these things in part of current account. If deficit reduces, current account is better. But when we are talking about the trade part, this is just one part. Then there are other parts also. Services, income and transfer, if they are not performing well, then maybe the capital inflows will continue to offset the balance. No, both cannot be correct. You have to choose the best possible option. In UPSC, Shipurna, you may have seen options, right to vote. Is it a constitutional right? Is it a legal right? Do they give you both the options? No, they give you one option, right? So which is the best option here? I've just told you second can be wrong also. It will not always reduce capital account inflow. BOP is not totally made of trade deficit or trade part only. There are services income transfer part also. If they are not performing well, capital account inflow will keep on increasing. Are you understanding? Bros, you have to understand, A is the answer. B can never be the answer of this question. You can get stuck, but B, this whole thing is not only dependent on reduction in trade deficit. There are other components of current account as well. Please understand this. This is important. A is the answer, and do revise it. You can get stuck, but B can never be the answer. B depends on so many other variables. Yes. MCQ 9. Solve this. Current account, capital account, BOP, you have to revise it. It's a tricky part, and the more revision you do, the better it is. BOP, it includes trades and goods and services. Remittances from India and abroad are part of current account. FDI inflows are recorded under current account. Use option elimination. This is an easier question than the previous question which we have done. So, Rajneesh, GYM, Rajneesh, Rishi, Gajanan, they have tried it. Cool. So, trade in goods and services, it is there. One has to be there. Remittance is there, so 2 has to be there. You're left with C and D. FDI is not a part of current account, bro. It's a part of capital account, right? So third is wrong. If third is wrong, you're left with C1 and 2 only. So as, hope you're understanding why C is the answer. C is the answer, Sheetal. So third option is wrong, C. Let's move on to the next article of the day, page number 12. Supreme Court dismisses plea to extend POXO or POSH Act. POSH Act is what? You know, this is so stupid. The way they have named this POSH Act is so stupid. Why? I will tell you. The full form of this POSH Act is sexual harassment. You can see this of women at a workplace, and then in bracket prevention, prohibition, and redressal act. If nobody is reading the bracket part, it is sexual harassment of women at workplace act 2013. So this is about companies. This is about NGOs. Women are protected there, right? And not only full-time working women, even interns, they're also protected. But is political party, what is a political party? Is political party a company or NGO? Supreme Court is like, dude, we are not going there. We are not extending POSH to political parties because they are neither a company nor an NGO, God knows what. And they are saying that if we do this, FDI is part of current account, Shipurna. It is a part of capital account. So where we they are saying that if we extend this Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act to political parties, if we'll open a Pandora box, we have to define them as company or this and that. We are not doing that. Now, what is your view on this? Do you think this POSH Act should cover women political workers? Currently, the situation is political parties, they are not covered under POSH. So these women political workers, they are not protected under POSH Act. When POSH Act is there, then internal complaints committee, etc., it has to be created within an organization. So what is your view on this? Do you think POSH should be extended? And be very honest about it, because our opinion does matter. So what is your view on this whole thing? Extension of POS. So Supreme Court dismissed, and this is actually very interesting. I personally feel POS should be extended to political parties, because these kind of sexual harassment can happen anywhere and everywhere, bro. So Supreme Court dismissed a plea seeking to extend sexual harassment of women at workplace. Do remember the current year, like which year it was passed, and then even interns are included, women interns. Internal complaint committee has to be filed. Bench laid by, and it's not like any Supreme Court judge has said it, with due respect to all the judges. Chief Justice of India, B.R. Gavai sir, is saying that if we include or extend POS to political parties, it will open a Pandora box. And the plea was filed by, you can see all these things. They are arguing that political parties should fall within the definition of employer. And if the political workers they are there, they are the employer. So employer-employee relationship established, and that's why posh, they should be under posh. There should be internal complaints committee under posh. And it's a very interesting matter. Misuse of act will raise. That can happen anywhere, Gajana. That can happen inside companies also. But no act at all, that's a different matter altogether. If there is an act, this misuse can happen in companies as well. Rationale: the plea stated that excluding women in politics from posh protection lacked any rational or intelligible basis. As you are saying, Gajanan, misuse can happen. So I can understand that point, and that's what even court is believing, and they are believing that when we are including political parties, they become a company or this and that. But you have to protect them. There is not one or two women in politics or in political sphere. So it urged that legal definition of workplace and employer under the act be broadened. So hope you're understanding why this is such a critical issue, why this is such a, and Rishi is also agreeing. No, Rishi, the point is it can be misuse it anywhere and everywhere. That doesn't mean you will not even apply it. Let's solve this MCQ. So POSH Act. It applies to all women working in private, government, and non-governmental organizations. Employers are required to set up an internal complaint committee, and again, use option elimination. When you solve these kind of questions based on different acts, use option elimination. So I have a doubt that higher position people are very influential and financially able, but why these things happen? Why are they not given to in red light areas or others like giving? They are going, bro, but Jivayan, but they go for better places. They don't go for smaller places. Oh my God. Hope you're understanding. They don't go at places where local people go. They have bigger setup for that. So yes, sir. Why are you asking me these questions? So Shripurna, Gajanan, Jivayan, Rajneesh, Rishi, but I can understand your query and your curiosity, Jivayana. So act apply only to women employees. As we have discussed, interns and trainees, they are also covered. So third you will eliminate, you're left with A and B. And we have discussed ICC has to be created. It's not International Cricket Council, internal complaint committee. So second has to be there. A and B is the, means 1 and 2 is the answer. B is the answer. Very good, as stated by Purna, Gajanan, Jivayan, Rajneesh, and Rishi. MCQ 11. In the context of POSH Act, which of the following best describes the term workplace? No, no, that's totally fine. I can understand the curiosity, Jivana. So, what is a workplace? Again, use option elimination. Oi. So, we know political party is not a workplace according to the current definition, and that's why POSH does not apply to them. So, if you eliminate via that, you will eliminate B, C, and D, and you will be left with A, 1 and 2 only, as stated by Purna, Rajneesh, Rishi, Chivan also tried it. Political parties are not workplace according to POSH Act. It does not extend to political parties. MCQ 12. Hmm. Again, it's a tricky question. It's a good question. Think about it. We'll discuss it tomorrow morning. If current account deficit widens, what will happen? Which of the following can occur? And what India can do? And what will be the implications of it? This is a question for which you have to revise BOP today. So revise it. Tomorrow we will discuss it. MCQ 12. MCQ 13, this is an easy question. General financial rule. We have talked about it when we were talking about the procurement editorial. You know, at that time we have discussed this MCQ 13. So again, if you know the answer, you can post it in the comment section. We'll discuss 12 and 13 answer tomorrow. Like, share, and subscribe this particular video. Spread the word. You can post your score out of 11 question classwork. How many you got correct? You can buy this Hindu analysis PDF at 199 per month. You can schedule doubt session with me. You can be a part of my mentorship program, which is expanding. More and more things are included under mentorship, and that will happen in future also. Now we have history through NCRTs. People who are part of my mentorship, they will be getting these videos and PDFs via this weekend. Class 6 chapter 1 to class 12 last chapter, each chapter video and the underlying PDF, so that they can understand what is important, what is not. Cool, sir. And after a certain period, everything becomes free in mentorship. I'm all yours in mentorship. Join at the earliest. Prices will increase in future. You can also switch from subscription etc. to mentorship, and you can also donate. So that's it from me, everyone, and I will see you people tomorrow at 7:30. Take care, be blessed. Tata, bye bye.